do around the table, a little different show for today. We're doing a debate with the Boone County candidates for county judge. And with us in the studio today is Chris Davis, and we're going from left to right. Bobby Woods, James Steele, and Tyler Gentry. Welcome to the show, guys, and thank you so much for putting yourself out. Now, we had some rules set out, and we want to first say that Danny Hall was not able to make it. He had some prior engagements, and he let us know, when was it? A couple days ago. So if you are wanting to see him here, he has elected not to be here today because of other arrangements. We did have some rules that we laid out, and everyone agreed to those. And just before we started today, we did a coin flipping ceremony. And the way you see the candidates positioned on the table is how they will go in order. Their opening questions will be from left to right, and to be fair with everyone, the closing statements will go from right to left. And if that's agreeable with everybody, we will get started. You want to start with the first question?
Why are you running for county judge, and what experience best prepares you to manage Boone County government?
Well, I thought it'd be the ultimate honor to be the county manager, more or less, and being voted in by the people of Boone County. It would be something I wouldn't take lightly. It'd be a privilege. The experience, I've got over 20 years experience with municipalities, and spent a lot of time driving the dirt roads. Feel like I got a lot of experience just being out there among the people.
Okay. And Bob, if y'all need to repeat the question, we can do that.
Sure.
But
No,
we're
that's
just going to
fine.
go. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, my answer, I've lived here all my life. I love Boone County and the Ozarks. I'm interested in seeing county government do the best it can. My experience includes background with cattle farming, JP for 6 years, and a self-employed business real estate broker for more than 45 years, working with contracts and finances and legal issues as they come up, and plus traveling all over the county, working with all the different people throughout the county.
Okay. And then James.
Yes, I'm running. I know Boone County government from the ground up. I care deeply about where we are headed. I spent 22 years with Boone County Road Department, working my way up to the leadership. During that time, I've managed crews, equipment, budgets, and emergency response. I've seen firsthand that works and what does not work. I believe the experience prepares me to manage county operations efficiently and responsibly.
And Tyler.
All right, so of course I'm Tyler Gentry, running for county judge. First things first, I didn't the opportunity. I don't know if we're going to agree on much. We're going to find out, but I think I can speak for everyone who take thank you for doing it. Reason I'm running is, Boone County's home, and you want the best for your home. I was raised here, my husband was born and raised here, and this is where we're building our family, and so we want the best for Boone County. I think that my experience positions me to be able to do this job. So I've been assistant county judge for 6 years, which at the end of the day, that's a title. But the experience that it's given me and the knowledge is positioned me to be able to take this job from day one. I believe that I know the day-to-day operation of the job, the challenges that we face here in Boone County, and I can step in that role, bring some new ideas to the table, and get some things fixed. Because frankly, I know what we do right and what we can improve on, and so those are the reasons I'm running.
Okay, thank you. All right. What do you
What
believe?
are the three most important responsibilities of a county judge in Arkansas? And we'll start with Chris.
Well, maintaining the peace with all the offices, keeping the maintenance of all the county properties in focus, and then focusing a lot on the road projects, not losing focus of where we're at, and trying to keep that keep them all up and just do the best we can with the budgets we got, not try to worry about what we don't have. Let's focus on what we do have and take advantage of that.
Go ahead.
I would say to administer or manage, to supervise, and to control all aspects of the county judge responsibilities. That includes budget expenditures, county road system, maintaining buildings, and many other duties.
Okay.
The county judge's most important responsibilities are managing county operations efficiently, maintaining safe and reliable roads and infrastructure, and providing steady leadership during emergencies. Just as important is working closely with the Boone Court and making sure taxpayer dollars are spent wisely for county roads and infrastructure.
Okay. And Tyler?
I will say it's hard to narrow it down to three, but I'll list them off first. So first, I would say responsible management of taxpayer dollars. Second would be maintaining safe and reliable infrastructure. That's our roads, our bridges, our buildings. And then providing strong leadership and accountability for those that work for the county. So to touch on that first one, responsible management of taxpayer dollars, that's priority. We can't run departments in the county if we don't know what revenue they're bringing in and what we can do with that money. That's the legal side of that as well. I think voters, and I would say everyone in this room, myself included, you want to vote for someone that you can trust to have a full understanding of what money they have to work with, and you want to trust they're going to spend those dollars wisely. You also want to trust that your elected officials are going to hire people in departments that are also going to spend money wisely. I think that's important, so that's number one. Number two, of course, our roads, bridges, and buildings. We don't want to waste, when it comes to our roads, we have a lot to cover, a lot of ground. And one of the worst things you can have is when you pay taxes and you don't see your tax money being spent wisely. And so one of those things would be roads. We don't want to waste man hours, material, fuel. We want to do things right. We want to plan ahead. You're going to hear me say long-term planning a whole lot today. And our buildings, same with our buildings. We get in the habit of Band-Aid fixes, and we need to fix it right the first time or else it's going to cost us more in the long run. And then three, the strong leadership and accountability. I touched on number two was roads and buildings, but the rest of the departments the judge oversees are just as important. Our 911, our emergency services, our, of course, road department, building and grounds maintenance, veteran services, and the judge's office. Extremely important to hold those people accountable. So I think you remove obstacles out of those departments' way and let them do their job, and you hold them accountable after you set those expectations of what you expect from your employees. And so I think those are the three most important things.
Okay.
Question, could you remind me what the time limit is on these questions?
Time limit is, let's see. Each candidate receives equal time, and I think that if you want more time, I will give you time.
Okay.
Do you feel like you need more time as a rebuttal?
No, not right now.
Okay, all right. We did initially have a 45 to 60 seconds, but we changed the debate structure, which you should have a copy of that, to have each candidate receives equal time, and if one goes over, and if you feel like you need to respond in more detail, we'll allow you that time.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Boone County has a mix of city-adjacent roads and rural mountain roads. What is your plan to prioritize road maintenance fairly across the county? Chris.
Well, I'm going to start by getting with the transportation managers of all the schools and focus on all the bus routes that cover a lot of it. As long as they're safe and the roads are good enough for the buses and get the kids around, I think that's pretty well take care of that. And then kind of follow up with any other roads after that. The more traveled roads, which the buses are on, and everybody's road. I don't care if you live in a mobile home at the end of a dirt road, you should get the same attention as somebody that lives in a $500,000 house at the end of the road. There shouldn't be privileged just because, they've got more money invested or more property. Everybody should deserve a good road to drive down.
Bobby?
The amount of funds available, of course, would determine what we can do. But first, we would need to determine the highest traffic roads and begin improving those. Pavement money would need to go toward resurfacing asphalt roads. Most of our paved roads are more than 25 years old, and they need attention. Grading and maintaining roads is part of the everyday budget, so grading should go on continually. But the improvements would be for the higher traffic roads first and the one with the most housing on it.
James?
Every road matters, whether it's in town or in a rural area. My approach is to prioritize maintenance based on road conditions, safety concerns, and use of non-political rural roads deserve the same attention as town roads, and fairness comes from using clear, consistent standards.
And Tyler?
I agree with a lot of what was said. I think that to be fair, you have to set criteria in order to be fair. So that would be obviously how many people live on that road, what are the number of homes, what's the traffic volume of that road, what's the condition of that road, is there safety concerns, and ultimately what's the cost, Rural roads, in short, are just as important as closer to city limit roads, and a lot of it comes down to what budget we have to work with. So using regular assessments and then communicating that. If we're prioritizing a road, communicate that to the public. Why are we choosing that road? And if we're meeting this criteria that I laid out, then it's pretty easy to explain to people. Because ultimately, if I live out in Everton and we're doing work out in the Omaha area, well, that's not really affecting me. We need to spread it out where it's fair for everyone in the county. And it's a small county, but not when we're talking about roads. So. I think I liked what Chris had said as well about the bus routes and postal routes and delivery drivers. I've seen a lot of things in the judge's office where past judges have done certain ideas, and one of them, a past judge that I saw, they'd had those road maintenance forms at the post office and at UPS and FedEx and at the schools, and let's utilize the people that drive our roads and are setting eyes on our roads as well. And like Bobby said, I believe the pavement preservation, that's a huge deal. We have paved roads that are falling apart, and we have a lot of dirt roads as well, but I think just kind of having a balance of the work that's done is the key there.
Okay. Tyler spoke for 1 minute and 45 seconds. Does anyone have any rebuttals or any other comments that they would like to add? Okay. Okay. How would you balance paving, grading, and bridge repair with the limited road budget that we have?
Again, probably some of the worst places and high traffic would probably come in, but then it would probably spread it out, kind of like I was saying earlier. There's a lot of areas, just certain parts of roads that are bad. I mean, that may be more advantageous to us to pave just these small sections around that are bad, so we don't have to keep going back and maintain them, and that would benefit the county in the long run.
Okay. Again, the amount of funds will determine what we're able to accomplish, but grading is part of the routine budget, as I mentioned earlier, and it should be done on a regular and routine basis, grading and other road maintenance. Paving funds would be, at least for the first few years, would be needed for resurfacing existing roads, because, again, our paved roads most of them are more than 25 years old and they're deteriorating. And again, the highest traffic roads would begin with repairs and improvements as needed, the roads that serve most people, and spread throughout the county, which there remain higher traffic roads in every area of the county. We need to spend what it takes to do each project right when we start one, because we don't want to have to go back and do it again. And I see a lot of white gravel on these county roads that I drive on, and it's nice to drive on that white gravel base, but at the same time, drainage is not fixed, and that gravel washes away many times when it rains. So here we are bringing more gravel out and covering it over again, and that's not the best fix. It's not a permanent fix. Of course, there may not be a perfect permanent fix, but we need to do better than what we are.
I have to agree with Bobby on that part of it there. But my deal is if you plan ahead, stretch every dollar, and fix small problems before they become big ones, preventative maintenance saves money. Bridges safety comes first. Grading is essential to keep gravel roads passable and prevent erosion. Paving should be targeted where traffic safety and long-term saving justifies the cost. Every decision is to be based on need and getting the most value for the taxpayer dollar.
Okay.
I'd say it's a hard balance, right? We have a lot of ground to cover and a limited budget, but I agree with James with stretching every dollar. I agree with Bobby and James both when they're saying, kind of back to what I was saying earlier about fixing things right, and there's probably not a perfect fix. You're exactly right, but it's the wasting the material, it's wasting fuels, it's wasting man hours if we don't get the proper drainage, if we don't build up the roads as we should, and plan for like we are paving those roads. Same with the pavement preservation we talked about as well. Bridges, obviously, we would like to fix those before they become an emergency, and we've had that in the past couple of years. I think it was 2024, we had 5 slabs go out in 1 year. Well, the county can't sustain that. That is a lot of that's a lot of money. And then to touch on kind of the budget that we have 3 road department budgets that total about $5.5 million. 2.4 is salaries and benefits, which leaves us about 3.1 for everything else. So you think, okay, that's all for road maintenance. It's for office supplies. It's for fleet insurance. It's for building insurance. It's for fuel. It's for culverts. It's for asphalt. It's for gravel. It's for everything you can think of that the road department would spend money on. And obviously that doesn't it doesn't stretch that far. So I think the long-term planning, like I said earlier, that is what you have to do to be able to fix things the right way. We have to plan ahead so we can have the budget for those things.
Okay. What role should technology and long-term planning play in road maintenance and infrastructure decisions? Chris?
I think the technology part would just be having everything readily accessible, all the roads mapped. Maybe you give them a scale of 1 to 10 from the worst or the ones with the most trouble, the ones you have to focus the most on. Then you kind of have an idea where you're spending your most money and where you're losing the most gravel, and where it would be more beneficial to put a little bit more money to fix it right, like the low water slabs. I'm not really a big fan of low water slabs. I know they're cheaper. I don't know. I think some box culverts in some of those places would flow a lot more water and maybe not get washed out as much, but that'd be something that kind of you'd have to look into on a case-by-case basis. But mainly just having everything, like I said, mapped out where, I guess anybody could get on and see what the road is. Like somebody who's wanting to buy a house, they can kind of see where their road's at and what the plans are maybe in the future. If we're going to pave a road or try to add a paved road or chip and seal, or if we're going to, just focus on grading it and getting the drainage better. So they just kind of have a better idea, and that would kind of help everybody along the way.
Well, of course, technology and planning would go hand in hand. The technology would be great for mapping. Our roads need to be mapped, public roads, county roads, private roads, and that needs to be displayed on a website so the public can see that. It would also help us, of course, determine the number of roads or number of homes served by each road, as well as the traffic amount on each road. Planning would be which roads to work on. Of course, the cost of the work needed would help to determine that. You could have a limited amount of money to spend, and you'd have to determine which roads you could do the most work on and get the best use of those dollars. And just making a plan. Planning would be to make a plan to keep the roads repaired and in order.
Technology should help us make better decisions, like using mapping allow us to see roads condition, planning maintenance routes, and making sure resources are spread fairly across the county. When you plan ahead instead of reacting, you save money and avoid costly surprises.
So long-term planning. That is a way we can actually plan improvements with our budget that we have. The county kind of gets into the habit, and it's almost forced if you don't plan ahead, where you have to be reactive to something instead of proactive to something. So I think we can approach things a lot better and prioritize things if we have long-term planning in place. Technology, I agree. I think the roads need to be mapped. I also think it could help us with plans for other things, not just mapping the roads, but where are the signs on the roads, where are the culverts placed on the roads, and that way you can plan for those things as well. Plans for striping roads too. We have a lot of paved roads. If we can't fix something right now, can we at least make it safer for the citizens right now? So I think they both work hand in hand.
Poppy, you went longer than her on that question. So, anybody have any closing comments before we move out of the roads and infrastructure?
I'll add.
Okay.
Back to kind of what I was saying about the budget. I wanted to just highlight the fact that when it comes to this year's budget, 2026, for asphalt, for gravel, for base, for culverts, that is less than $1 million that the county has to work with. So I think utilizing grants and state aid is a way we can accomplish a lot more as well.
Okay.
Yes, I'd like to add also.
Go ahead.
Of course, grants and state aid is available for some of our paved county roads because they connect between state highways, and use of that money, of course, is important. That stretches our county dollars much farther. As I understand, the state pays 90% on those roads, so that is a great help.
Yeah, 10% is a big deal. We're going to take a pause right now, take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about budget and fiscal responsibility. So everyone stay tuned. You're watching Around the Table with Dan and Ann, and we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. How would you approach preparing and managing the county budget while working with the quorum court?
Well, being that I would be the new guy, I would go back to the old budget and just study it the best as possible and try to come up with a new budget that best suits the Boone County and the taxpayers' dollars. That's about all I've really got to say on that subject at this point. Right. Yeah.
Well, you would prepare by going through the budget, understanding where, what, and how of the income and expenses, and then explain any items in question to the quorum court. In the end, the quorum court makes the final decision, but I believe that we have a good quorum court, good members, and they are interested in managing the budget to do what's best for the county. So the county judge should be the leader to some degree, but the county quorum court does make the final decisions.
Okay.
I believe in open communications and teamwork. I would bring clear, honest information to the quorum court, explain needs in plain language, and list to the other concerns. When everyone understands these facts, we can make it better decisions for the county.
Of course, I've had 6 years of direct experience in this, in the preparation and management of the county budget and working with the quorum court. And some members are still there from the time I started with the county, and some have, left their position. But first thing you have to do is find the balance of what revenue the county has and balance that with the needs of the departments to be able to run as efficiently and for the benefit of the public. So, of course, communicating with the quorum court, presenting them all the information. That's what I do now is I have no vote. Judge obviously has no vote either. So you bring the information, you set them up where they can make an informed decision based on the facts. And also the judge serves as a resource. So it's you have to have some sort of a foundation of mutual respect and trust to have anything get done, I think, in county government. And so I've worked on that for 6 years. I have good relationships with our justices of the peace and our elected officials. And the judge doesn't do the budget alone. The county clerk's office does payroll and benefits. Our treasurer's office is who determines what revenues are being brought into the county. And with that information, you can form an informed budget and pass that along to quorum court.
Okay.
When revenues are tight, what services should be protected first, and where should the county look for efficiencies?
Probably our emergency management, law enforcement is one of the top things, and making sure they're well outfitted and have everything they need to do their jobs, and probably just make sure there's not anything out there that they don't need that's sitting around that is just costing us money.
Okay.
Well, of course, emergency services must be first. Of course, Sheriff's Office, Office of Emergency Management, 911 Office, those things would have to take priority. Other than that, routine maintenance doesn't need to be dropped. I'm sure there are inefficiencies that can be found in most of any of the county government, but determining and correcting those efficiencies as best as it can be done to correct them would be good.
Essential services should be protected first. And where should the county look for efficiency?
Okay.
I agree with what was said. So I think I'm not big on thinking of cutting any frontline services because I think we have these county departments for reasons because they're all important in their own way. But obviously emergency services, anything to deal with public safety, infrastructure, all of those essential services would be the first on the list. I think that we can find efficiencies in a couple different ways. So one would be better purchasing practices, reviewing contracts, things like that. So the county by law has to bid anything over a certain amount of money. It's different for construction projects than it is for normal items, but one of those limits is $42,900. Construction projects, $50,000. We are exempt from bidding on certain things, so fuel, tires, things like that. But just because we don't have to by law bid out, should we do that? With to think of the taxpayer and what it's going to cost, should we actually be looking at things? Maybe legally we can go out and buy it. Does it make sense to get estimates and figure out what's the best for the taxpayers? So I think so. Also, a deeper dive into our budget. I've said this for a few years now. That I would like to look more detail into our county budget. So for 2025, we budgeted over $12 million in county general, and we ended the year with still over $1 million, which to me says there's things in there that can probably be cut. Now, it also shows that I think we have a lot of responsible people, and just because the money's there doesn't mean they're going out and spending it. So that's one way to look at it too. But I think that we could cut, if we're ending the year with $1 million over budget, that tells me we can cut some things out.
Okay. Is there any other comments on fiscal budget and responsibility that you would like to add to?
I would say, of course, the bidding process, there's a state bid that is set up through the state, and you can buy vehicles and other things. There are some contractors I understand that are approved to do work, and then you don't have to take bids against each of those purchases if you use that state process. However, there are times when bidding between contractors or automobile purchases or whatever I believe should be done, it could produce a better price, more savings for the county.
Okay.
I'd like to add to that. I agree. As the person that does a whole lot of bidding for the county, and I've helped the sheriff's office, the road department, pretty much any department that needs something. I like the state bids, obviously for fleets, so vehicles, equipment, things like that. It's hard to write a whole spec list of exactly what you want when really you want the best price. So I think other things, like when it comes to material, fuel, different things like that, even though we don't have to bid it out, I think we should. We don't have to do legitimate bids per law, but we can reach out, get estimates, and make the best decision for the taxpayers.
Okay. Any other comments?
I would like to add one more thing if we can. In buying vehicles, the state bid would give you a base price, but I would want to give our local automobile dealers an opportunity to match that or beat it. So using local suppliers would be a benefit to the county all the way around.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Okay. Do you support using county reserves for major projects, or should Boone County operate with a minimal debt, and why?
I would support using it because I think it would be better to get the projects done now instead of dragging them out later when it may cost more money. You know, sitting on a bunch of money ain't going to do you no good if something happens and it's not there later. I would say having the projects done that need to be completed may be a better benefit than having the money in the bank.
Okay.
I believe a reserve fund is important to have on hand and to maintain. We need to have a reserve because we don't know when unexpected expense items or storms, tornadoes, weather-related things will happen. Illnesses such as COVID came through. These things can cause a need for additional money that was not budgeted, so the reserve would be a place to have those funds. I know our reserve fund has been tapped into the last few years for the new government building and possibly some other things. I know, at one time several years ago, all of the AC units were stolen out at the health department, and I can't remember 6 or 8 of them, so they had to be replaced immediately. Money for things like that may not be in the regular budget. As far as the debt, I believe the county should operate without debt. I know we have quite a bit of debt at this time, and debt is not a good thing if you can operate without it. The state regulations, laws limit what the county can do and borrow and the time limit that it has to be paid back. But generally borrowing money is not the best option.
Okay.
I believe in saving it for major projects when possible and avoiding unnecessary debt. County reserves should be used carefully for major needs, not routine expense, and always with long-term financial stability in mind.
Okay.
I do support maintaining a reserve, but a reasonable reserve. I agree it shouldn't be for routine operations. It should be for something specific, something major, and set criteria for what makes sense to the quorum court to spend that money on. We have so many unforeseen things. It has proven useful in the past few years with different projects. It's currently sitting at over $1 million right now, and it's been upwards of, I think, definitely $3 million, if not close to $4 million before. So we've definitely tapped into that. I think a reserve just makes sense. Minimal debt makes sense. It's what I would go by in my own personal life. It's what I would tell people as well. But ultimately, we have the money, so if the county has a need, our funds need to be spent. You know, we're not in the business of making money. We're in the business of taking in money, spending it wisely, and providing services to the public.
Okay. All right. We're going to move on to economic development and growth. So take a breather. We're going to take another break, and we're going to continue with our Boone County Judge debate right here at KHOZ. Stick around, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Our time.
And welcome back to Around the Table with Dan and Ann. This is our special presentation of the debates for a lot of the candidates in our area. And today we're talking with the candidates for Boone County Judge. And we're going to move on to some of our other questioning. The first one is economic development and growth. What is the county judge's role in encouraging economic development without harming Boone County's rural character? And we're going to start with Bobby.
Thank you. Economic development is not a major role for the county judge, but I do believe the county judge should work with other resources that endeavor to accomplish this and do whatever that office can do to help. I believe, as far as our character goes, our county, I believe that preserving our character is important to our citizens and to protect our culture and heritage. We have people in our area, of course, that do not want change, but we can't prevent change. So watching out for things that would adversely affect our culture and heritage is important. You know, things like wind turbines, Bitcoin mines, selling our courthouse. You know, the Quorum Court has set some things in place as far as Bitcoin and wind turbines go to prevent them from coming in, at least for the time being. And other things, you know, selling our courthouse may come up as a question in the future since most everything's being moved to the county government building, but I do not believe that is a good idea at all. We need to maintain that for our area.
James?
I mean, the county judge supports smart, responsible growth that brings jobs and opportunities while protecting farmland, natural resources, and the character of our communities. And that'll be it.
Okay, all right.
Tyler?
I think, of course, we're all seeing Boone County is growing. And I think we can grow in a way that we don't lose our character, what makes us Boone County, why people flock to Boone County in the first place. So first thing is we have to respect our local values that we have here. I think the judge can kind of create an environment where we can grow smartly and work with the people who do handle the economic development. So you work with city leaders, you work with the Chamber of Commerce. We have 2 in Boone County. And those organizations, and whether that's letters of support, if it makes sense, the county judge can play that role. But I think just supporting our existing communities in Boone County, not getting overwhelmed with growth, and keeping our values.
Okay. And Chris?
Yeah, I believe, what they said, actually getting along well with all the other cities and supporting them, and keeping our small town values the best we can without letting too much of the influence from some of these big cities come in, if at all possible. We've seen a lot of change just here, the last 20 years or so at that. But anything the judge could do to keep the small town values in place would be great.
Okay.
How would you work with cities like Harrison and surrounding communities to attract jobs and investment? James, we'll let you start this time.
Okay. Living, sitting down at the same table and working together as a team. That means regular communication with the city leaders, sharing goals, coordinating on roads and infrastructure projects. When the county and the cities pull in the same directions, we create a better environment for our businesses and our jobs.
Okay.
I think it's a partnership, right? So I agree with everybody when they say meeting with city leaders, the Chamber of Commerce, all these groups that have a focus on economic development, and get on the same page. What's our vision for Boone County? When we're talking attracting jobs and investment, my mind goes to we need a workforce, right? So I think our schools here in the district, well, in Boone County, I should say, our businesses, our cities, our county leaders, I think we're all on the same page when it comes to the goal is having our younger generation stay here in Boone County. It's to pour into Boone County, and there's your workforce. So to me, let's make it attractive. Let's make jobs available. And the college does a good job at that. Our school districts have really good relationships as far as getting the younger generation in the work field and learning skills that can help you tomorrow. So I think keeping our kids here at home and pouring into the community is the priority.
Okay. And Chris?
Yeah, pretty much same thing, just keeping good communication open with all the local, like the Chamber of Commerce and the businesses on what they want to do and kind of where the people of Boone County want to be. I mean, and just kind of focus on their input and take it from there.
Okay. And what infrastructure improvements are most important to support future growth in Boone County?
Am I up next?
Yes.
I think you
Yes.
skipped me on that last question.
Oh, we
Oh.
did?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm so
No,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, you.
No, let's go back. We don't
Yeah.
want to. We don't want to
We
do
don't wanna
that
do that.
for sure, Bobby.
Thank you for-
Read the question.
Read the question. That was your question, was it? Was it or wasn't it?
How would you work with cities like Harrison and surrounding communities to attract jobs and investment?
Well, of course, I'd work with the cities, all the cities within Boone County. Harrison's not the only one, but of course Harrison is the largest one. I would work with all available resources, the local chambers in Harrison and also Lead Hill Diamond City, the Northwest Arkansas Economic Development District, and other government bodies to do whatever the county judge can do. North Arkansas College has done a good job with their workforce training that for students that are coming out of high school and are not interested in going to college, so they can get some training there for local jobs and go right to work. All those things would work together to work with jobs and investment.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And again, what infrastructure improvements are most important to support future growth in Boone County? And where do we need to start?
I think me.
Tyler.
Oh, Tyler. Okay.
Reliable roads, bridges, emergency services. Those are the foundation of what you want to work when that's where you live, right? That directly impacts your quality of life. People know that with the roads, it's more apparent. But when you have an emergency and you need them to respond to your house, when you call 911, you want those services to go off without a hitch. You know, you need those to have a good foundation of where you live. Utilities. So the thing that came to my mind is good internet. You know, we have a lot of people that live in rural areas within the community. They don't have good internet. We have a lot of homeschooled people in Boone County, and even if you go to a public school, there's a lot you have to do at your house. Let alone telehealth visits, which we learned during COVID's important, and a lot of people still utilize that today. Working from home, all of those type of things, we need good, reliable internet. So I think planning ahead for that, planning ahead for growth, that's critical so we don't get overwhelmed with people flocking to Boone County.
Okay.
Chris?
Well, pretty much the same thing, the roads and the county properties and emergency services, keeping them up, and maybe working with all the different systems in Boone County, the water and electric and all that, so we're not getting in each other's way, or if there's areas that, when we have the big floods, water lines will get washed out, and, things like that would need to work together with, so we don't have those problems later on. So maybe working on the roads, we can make it better for the water systems as well, and that would, everybody's got to have some water, so that would be some critical infrastructure in Boone County.
Okay.
Bobby?
Future growth, growth seems to follow good roads, paved roads. They bring development opportunities. Of course, businesses are going to look for state highways and U.S. highways, but our county roads would be good for housing development and other opportunities. Utilities are important. You know, you need public water for development. Also, the fiber optic internet use is important. There's grants for fiber optic, and there's fiber optic being installed in many areas of our county at this time. Of course, electricity and all is important, but those type utilities are pretty much available unless you get in the very, very rural areas.
Okay.
James?
Strong roads and bridges come first, making sure people can travel safely and businesses can move goods efficiently. We also need reliable water systems, better drainage, and continued investment in maintaining what we already have. Growth works best when we fix existing infrastructure, plan ahead, and make smart improvements that serve both our towns, our rural areas, and emergency management and public safety.
All right. Be compliant with our advertisers. We're running a little behind, so I'm going to take another break so we can get our sponsors in that are actually supporting what we do here today. And we're going to take that other break, and we'll be back with more of the Boone County candidates for judge. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Coverage right here at KHOZ Studios. And if you are just joining us, this is actually going past our programming time, and we have allotted whatever time it takes to do these debates. We're going to have this debate with the county judges today, and whenever it's finished, we will finish. And then Thursday, we're going to have it with state representatives and also with the
Boone County Sheriff.
Yes, we're going to have the sheriffs in here. So we're going to continue with our questioning. And you want to take the first question?
Okay. As county judge, you would oversee emergency management. How would you prepare Boone County for severe weather, flooding, or other disasters? And I believe we're starting with you, Chris.
Yeah, I would just make sure the emergency management has all the tools necessary to do their job. Maybe have some of these extra, we got a lot of excavation companies around in Boone County, maybe have some of them online, some that are willing to help when we have a disaster. So it's not all just up to the local fire and rescue. We can have everybody out there helping.
Bobby?
Again, the Office of Emergency Management up to date and prepared for whatever might come along. Flooding, there are mitigation maps available to review prior to these type things, and doing what you can to prevent flooding, and of course drainage on our roads and things is important as well.
Okay. James?
I've worked storms and emergencies firsthand. Preparation means keeping emergency plans updated, ensure crews are trained and equipped, and maintaining clear communications before, during, and after emergencies.
Okay.
Well, we all know Mother Nature's out of our control, so we could focus on controlling the things that we're able to. So that is being properly prepared for these types of events. You can't, it's not always going to go to your plan, but having those emergency response plans, proper training, and making sure all these entities can communicate with each other. That's a huge deal in a disaster or an emergency event. And of course, making sure we have the equipment ready to go when the time comes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. The next question is, what lessons have you learned from past emergencies, and what improvements would you make? I'm going to start with
Bobby.
Bobby. Yes.
Well, we've had some lessons from recent tornadoes, of course, COVID that came. There's rainstorms periodically. So maintaining info on these events as to how they were handled and the results
would be helpful in similar situations. Drainage work in areas where floods is prone would be important as well.
James?
We've learned that preparation, communication, and coordination are critical. I would continue strengthening those areas and making sure all agencies work together smoothly.
All right.
Tyler?
I'd say past events, of course, it shows the importance of communication, training, planning beforehand, all that. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is documentation is everything. When we have a disaster here, an emergency in Boone County, it's costing us things that we weren't planning for. You can't budget for that. And so if you don't document properly with the Arkansas Division of Emergency Management and FEMA, if it went that route, then you lose you lose out on reimbursement for the county. That's a huge deal. So you have to maintain records of the road and bridge damages, if there's any damage to public facilities, what the emergency response costs were, and then debris removal. So again, if you don't document that, you're costing the county money. It also showed me, especially during the tornado in 2024, is that what we all know, we live in a wonderful community. We have volunteers coming out like crazy with their own equipment, with their own supplies. We have people donating, and I feel like we didn't have a good, we didn't have anything set in place to have that run efficiently. So when you have people stepping out offering help, we need to have a place to send them. We need to have a plan for that. And donations, so we don't get bogged down with all the donations, which was absolutely incredible to see. And then, of course, another thing that I've learned is the judge serves as the point of contact in those events. And so the public needs to know some information, and it's finding out how to get that out to the public in the event of a disaster or emergency. And then I think Bobby touched on hazard mitigation, and it's somewhat what I was thinking, but in a different way. So when you work with Adam, when you work with FEMA on a disaster, they want you to fix things, the right way to get reimbursement. So you have to, hazard mitigation means like fixing it in a way where it's not going to happen again, which is smart thinking. So it puts that in the mindset just for everyday work as well. We can't always do those type of things, but it kind of ties back to the fixing it right if we can.
Okay. Chris?
Agree with all the above, and pretty much, maybe having a, like I said, a point of contact for the judge's office, maybe have something set up where people know in advance at all the offices who to contact and who to deal with, and maybe a little information for the, people out in the community if something does happen. Floods, there's a lot of houses that are built down in by creeks or down in draws, and we all know water flows downhill, and then they come from another state and they're like, why am I getting flooded? So a little information out there to help them, and like I said, who to contact to kind of keep everything together when there is a disaster.
Okay, I'd like to add to that. We tried this last time to, we put it on Facebook. We send it out to the radio stations who are kind enough to at least pass things along to the public. There does need to be a better way, a better avenue to get things out there. There was the tornado we dealt with. Not only do we have to worry about damage to the roads, damage to private property, which unfortunately is on those people, but they need to have an avenue to go for the resources, right? Businesses were hit. They need to know what kind of loans are available for that. And then our building was hit, so we have public property thrown into that, with the jail, the sheriff's office being hit by the tornado as well. So it was a whole lot all at one time. You can prepare for that the best you can, but I think trying to get the resources available out to the public is priority, and we can do better at that.
Okay. Any other comments?
I like that. Hers on FEMA. Everything is like your low water slabs and your culverts has to be put back to codes and standards of FEMA. They come out, they do a hydraulic study, they tell you what size culverts you can put in, and that's about what you can put in on the roads.
Okay. question?
That's yours, if you want it.
Okay. How would you coordinate with local law enforcement, fire departments, and first responders? I think we touched on this quite a bit, but how would you coordinate with local law enforcement?
And James, I think you're first.
James is first.
By respecting their expertise, supporting them with resources, and keeping communications open at all times, county employees and administration to work together.
I think regular meetings, you'll have to work together. Doesn't mean everybody's going to like each other, but let's let the people who are experts in their field do their job and be there to support them. So I'd say making sure departments have the resources to be able to respond to events like this. And then, of course, I'll go back to the communication, because to me, that's priority is how do you know who's out there on the ground if they're not able to talk to each other? So communication's key.
Okay.
Chris?
Absolutely, communication, lack of communication is always a big problem for anything. So, like I said, the dedicated channel where all the offices could get together, and I like having, old school CBs if all the buildings could, make contact that way. If something was to go down, internet or, all the power and whatnot go down, the old CBs would just kind of fill in the gap where everybody can stay in contact.
Okay.
Bobby?
Well, I believe these agencies, our law enforcement and fire departments, all work well together now. City and county law enforcement have agreements in place. I've heard the sheriff say that the city police force has been deputized if they're needed out in the county. I know our fire departments have agreements for mutual aid with each other as needed, and that would include first responders. But likely there's room for improvements, but I think we're doing pretty well now, but we can improve as time goes on.
Okay. All right. So we can catch up with our sponsors, we're going to take another break, and maybe that'll put us where we need to be, where we can take a little more time for questions. We do have a few more questions to ask the county judges, and we're going to continue with our debate right here on KHOZ and also Hometown Television, K26 Hometown Television. We'll do that in just a few minutes. Stick around, we'll take another break. We have with us in the studio Chris Davis, Bobby Woods, James Steele, and Tyler Gentry. They are all running for that position. And Danny Hall was unable to join us, and we apologize for that. And that was from his choice, and we're going to continue with our questioning. This will all be saved both on audio and video, and it'll be on Facebook and also on YouTube. We'll put these out, and we'll do a rescheduling of our on KHOZ, or not KHOZ, but on K26 Hometown Television. We'll be re-airing that at different times, and you can go to our Facebook page to find out when those times will be. To continue with our questions, we're going to move into county employees and administration, and our first question is for Tyler. How would you describe your leadership style when managing county employees and department heads? Tyler?
Good question. So, of course, the judge oversees a lot of departments, but also my look of it is serves as a leader to the county in general. So that's the other employees that aren't under the judge's office umbrella. It's to other elected officials as well to be a leader together. I think there are a lot of employees with the county that were never given a job description, and I think it's hard to hold people accountable for not doing something right if they were never told what the expectations are. So I think my leadership style would be setting those clear expectations, holding people accountable, having mutual respect, and listening, supporting, and ultimately holding people responsible for results. And so that's my leadership style.
Okay.
Pretty much the same thing. I'd be fair and approachable, but everybody also need to know what we expect of them, so we could hold them accountable for their responsibilities. Because, like I said, if they don't know what they're supposed to do or how they're supposed to do it, how can you hold them accountable?
All right.
Well, of course, they do need to know what's expected of them and what their job description includes. But I would listen to them and discuss things with them, whether it be problems or ideas that they have to improve things. You know, the people working in that job should know what's best to do there and best for their department or their job. But I'm sure that we cannot meet all their wants, but hopefully we can meet all the needs that is there for that job.
I lead by example. I believe in being approachable, setting clear expectations, and holding people accountable while treating everyone with respect.
I'd like to add to that if I could, kind of piggybacking off of something Bobby said. I think that leadership can kind of get confused with being the person that knows everything and knows best. And I think we're surrounded by a lot of people who are good resources to whoever's in a leadership position. So I think there's a lot to learn, the people who currently work for the county and other people that just live in the community. So I think bringing other people to the table, ultimately, Judge has to be the final stop. So that's the decision that's going to get made. But I think opening the door to have that communication is really important.
Okay, any other comments on that topic? All right.
Chris, this will start with you. What steps would you take to ensure county operations are efficient, transparent, and accountable to taxpayers?
Maybe having easier access for them to find information online, to be a little more transparent. I'd be willing to do a video every month, like a state of the county address on issues if anybody was interested in doing something like that. I think the more information you get out there, the better off you are, because a lot of people, they don't know what's going on and wonder why you're focused on one end of the county instead of the other. So maybe if you did a video or something like that to addressing those concerns, maybe that would help out.
County operations need to have systems in place for the department heads and elected officials to report what's going on in their areas. And we need to find ways to be better and more efficient at what's done. And then transparency to the public. Our meetings could be hopefully publicized a little better, make them aware that meetings are coming up and that the public is welcome to attend. Information, records, and all are available to the public as well. And a website, I think, would be a good avenue to use for that. People get used to going to the website to see what's going on in the county and what's coming up. And then, of course, information on our county road system is important as well, which should be on the website.
Starts with clear expectations and good communication. Departments should understand their responsibilities and budgets, and the public should know how decisions are made. I believe in reviewing procedures and addressing issues quickly so problems don't grow.
All right.
So 3 things in the question are 3 things that are important to me and that I'm running on. So you have transparency, accountability, and efficiency. I think I agree with a lot that was said. Taxpayers deserve to know how money is being spent and why. So communication is important, and that's another thing that I've been saying from the beginning is customer service is overlooked. It's a lost skill these days, and we need to do better at that. And so I think clear policies, having open records, regular communication to the public of what's going on, why is it going on, and then having oversight to all of that.
Okay. Any more comments on that, on county employees and administration? With that, we're going to take another break. I know that you're probably tired of the breaks, but we need to put those in because we have these debates sponsored by local community businesses, and we're going to take that time right now. We'll be right back in just 4 minutes. Stay with us. And welcome back to our coverage of local candidates here in Boone County, and we're talking with the candidates for Boone County Judge. With us in the studio is Chris Davis, Bobby Woods, James Steele, and Tyler Gentry, and we're going to start our questioning with Bobby Woods. on transparency and the public trust. Bobley, what does transparency in the county government look like in your, to you in practical terms?
Well, communication is important, with the public and with employees, elected officials. I think as far as the public goes, we need to make information on public meetings more available and make the public more aware of them so they can attend if they like. Include information on the county road system. Perhaps an improved website would be helpful in doing this, but overall being upfront and honest with inquiries from the public, tell them what you can or cannot do and the reasons why, so that they can understand what's going on or why you can't do certain things that they would like to have done.
Okay. James?
Transparency means open meetings, clear budgets, and explaining decisions in plain language so citizens understand how and why decisions are made.
Okay. Tyler?
I think transparency is asking the question that Dan and Ann always ask, which is why? Why is something being done? I think having clear explanations of what decisions are being made, honest communication with the public about what's going on, and then I agree with what they've all said. So I think we can have a better website because that's just the day and age we live in. That's how people get their information, is social media or online. But not lose touch with putting updates in the newspaper, not getting with the radio stations as well. Those things are just as important. Open meetings, I think we can do better as far as public input on a lot of issues that we deal with, and having accessible records to the public as well.
Okay.
All of the above, and being more accountable to allow people to come to meetings if they want to come. Maybe having a bigger space for meetings. Where the courthouse may come in handy. They could move them court meetings down at our courthouse and have more seating, and like I said, maybe have a few more meetings or the public's invited, but definitely having more avenues where people can get the information, if they've got any questions.
Okay.
Okay, the next one, we'll start with James. How will citizens know what decisions you're making and why? And we may have touched on that a bit.
By communicating regularly through public meetings, updating, and being available to listen and answer any questions anybody's got.
Okay.
Tyler?
I think touching kind of on what I said to the last one, so public meetings, communicating clearly with people, online updates, newspaper, radio, whatever that looks like, to try to get it out to a bunch of different avenues, kind of like Chris was saying. And then being available. You don't want to vote for someone and then you can't get them on the phone. You can never get them to sit down to a meeting with you, so I think that's important as well.
Okay.
Chris?
Yeah, basically an open door policy for the folks in the community.
All right. And then Bobby?
Well, of course, all meetings are open to the public, as has been mentioned, and records are open to the public. If they contact me or the county judge office, they will receive an answer. It's just, again, communication and transparency.
Okay. And that moves us into how you would handle public criticism or controversial decisions with whatever the county court is deciding upon. Tyler.
There's a lot of that, and some of it for good reason, but there's some things that I wouldn't think are controversial, but that doesn't mean everybody sees it that way. So again, that open door policy is a major deal. I think listening, people want to be heard, just like I want to be heard, and so listen, explain the reasonings behind what decisions were made, and then as long as your goal is what's best for the county, I think if you can make decisions for the majority of Boone County, as long as it doesn't go against your own conscience, I think you're good.
Okay.
Chris?
Yeah, being open-minded and, like I said, listening to what they have to say. Not all the time do you have to, a lot of people have a lot of ideas, but a lot of times they're not really all that good. So, you got to explain to them why you can't go that route, and that'll probably take care of a lot of it. And so just mainly listening and make sure they have all the facts.
Okay.
Of course, some of that will depend on the item in question, but Overall, you must be upfront and honest with people, explain why that decision was made so they understand. In the end, you can't make 100% of the people happy 100% of the time, but certainly you can go a long ways toward that.
Okay.
Pretty much everything they've said, I believe in listening first, explaining my reasonings honestly, and respecting different opinions, land use, environment, and quality of life.
All right.
And I'd like to add, if I could, piggyback off Chris now. I think we owe it to the public to where if it shouldn't just be, well, that's the way it's always done, or this is how we're doing it with no explanation. If we can't do something, it may be because budget restraints, it may be because, and it depends on what the issue is here, but it could be, we legally as a county can't do those things. So people want to know why, they want to know the reasoning, and hearing that, then they can, if they still want to be angry about what happened, then that's their right to be, so.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. We're going to move into land use, environment, and quality of life. How should Boone County balance development with protecting farmland, natural resources, and tourism assets? And we're going to go Chris.
Well, that's a good question. Just look at every opportunity and see how it affects everybody else down the line. And that's kind of like the windmill thing. It was a good thing, but I can still see them, even though it's in a different county. Just making sure it's the best decision for everybody in the county, not just the one group.
Okay. Bobby?
Well, again, the best decision for the county overall. There are things that don't seem friendly, such as the windmills, but at this point in time, private ownership is in control of all of the property in the area. There is a little bit of public ownership with Bull Shoals Lake, Table Rock Lake, and a few things here in the area, but there's currently no planning or zoning, so the county judge would just have to work along with things as they come up and do what's best for the county.
Okay. James?
Should allow all responsible growth while protecting and making Boone County special. Our land and our outdoors resources and our quality of life.
All right. And Tyler?
So those
assets are what makes Boone County Boone County. So I agree, responsible growth. You can't stop growth, but you can grow in a smart way. So I think planning carefully to avoid us overextending ourselves, and we can protect our farmland, our natural resources, and tourism while still growing responsibly. But I'm a big supporter of respecting property rights, and I think that's why the county has never established any sort of zoning. We kind of have best of both worlds in Boone County, so if you want that, you have city limits you can live in, and if you don't want that, then come out to the county. And people take advantage of that as well, but I've had those neighbors too. But at the end of the day, it's their land, and they should be able to do what they want with it unless it affects the health, the safety, or something like that for their neighbors.
All right.
Next question. What role should the county play in zoning or land use decisions, if any? Bobby, we'll start with you.
Well, again, the county does not have any planning or zoning in place. I believe the majority of our citizens do not want planning or zoning. I've sold property for 45, 46 years, and property rights are included, with most of it. Once in a while we see mineral rights reserved or something, but if people are concerned about what's going to go on next to them and all, there are subdivisions outside the city limits within the county that have restrictions and covenants that control what happens. So there, should be a place for everyone that has concerns.
Okay.
I believe in protecting property rights first. The county shouldn't overreach, but it does have a role in addressing issues that affect neighbors safely and infrastructure. Any land use decisions should involve public input, common sense, and respect for the people who live and work here.
All right. Tyler?
I think the county should play a very limited approach if it's appropriate. So I think it's not our responsibility to micromanage land, but we're here to protect the health, safety, and of course the taxpayers. So I think unless it creates traffic, flooding, public safety issues, then we have a responsibility to address those type of things. And I was in the middle of all those somewhat new things. We've always had wind turbines. We've always had solar. Well, not always, but it's not a new thing. But commercial operations, I mean, we know what's going on in Carroll County, and what I've heard is these landowners signed agreements back, I think, in 2006. So now the current county judge of the quorum court is having to deal with all these things that are coming in, and you have to weigh the balance. Boone County had to do the same thing. Do we want people to have the right to do what they want with their property? Yes. Is something like that new territory, and is it going to affect the environment? Is it going to affect the neighbors? Should the public not have input? And we decided we're going to hold up. So that was a big challenge for the county, and I was in the middle of that. So luckily we put on a moratorium to just give us time. Let's give us time to create restrictions, guidelines that are appropriate, so that we aren't ruining what we have here in Boone County.
Okay. And Chris?
Yeah, I think it should be limited, unless it's like I said, a health concern or issue that with an environmental issue or impact or something like that. They should just play a very limited role in restrictions outside
All right.
county.
Any more comments on land use and zoning and responsibilities there? With that, we're going to take, maybe this will be our last break. Hopefully it will be. And we've got two more categories to cover, and that last category will be closing comments. And with that said, we're going to take another break. We'll be right back. You're watching Around the Table with Dan and Ann, and this is our debate coverage of some of the Boone County candidates that are running for judge. We'll be right back. And welcome back to our final segment with the coverage of our candidates debate here in Boone County. We're located doing this live broadcast from KHOZ Studios, and also you can watch this later on if you're not watching it live on K26 Hometown Television, 843 on the cable system, and also we'll have this posted on YouTube and Facebook on our Around the Table Facebook page. Collaboration and leadership, we're going to ask these couple of questions to our candidates. The first one will be going to Bobby Woods. How would you work?
James.
Oh, is it James? Okay.
Me.
Hold on a second, James. How would you work with the quorum court when you disagree on priorities or spending?
Would sit down with them and try to talk to them and reason with them as adults to figure out what we could do together as a team to make everything work. Yes, there's going to be some disagreements, but I think in all, everybody can work together and make everything work great.
Okay.
Tyler?
I think that we see it with federal government, we see it with state government, but we've lost the art to compromise, right? The willingness to compromise, and disagreements are okay. Disagreements are going to happen. Dysfunction does not need to happen. We don't want to be a quorum court where people come there for entertainment. It's supposed to be taking care of business. So I believe in respectful conversations, state the facts. If it's something I'm passionate about, I'm going to state my case clearly, listen to their viewpoints, and then whatever decisions made by the quorum court, that's going to be what's carried out, and I'm going to do that professionally, respectfully, and I'll inform the public on whatever decision was made.
Okay.
Pretty much the same thing. I'll just make sure they know what my opinion is, whether it's right or wrong. They got the choice to make that decision, but it also let them know that the decisions they're making are for the taxpayers of Boone County, so they can make the best decision for them the taxpayers, not for them personally, and let them go with it.
Bobby?
Well, of course, anytime you disagree, discuss the points at hand and try to reach an agreement or at least get a compromise. The county judge should be the leader to some degree, and I believe the quorum court members will listen. I think they're interested in trying to do what's right. But of course, in the end, the quorum court makes the final decision.
Okay.
All right.
What partnerships, local, regional, or state, are most important for Boone County's future? And we'll start with Tyler.
And I want to add, are there any new partnerships that you would like to add to what you already have?
Good question. I took the question as having to make a choice, which was hard because I think all those relationships and partnerships are very important. I always say people need people, and that's kind of what my mind goes to when asked this question. So if I had to pick one, I'm going to go with our local partnerships here in Boone County. So I think when the county and the cities are aligned with a vision, I think when we can plan together as far as infrastructure, emergency response, of course we touched on that, having those good relationships and mutual aid agreements is crucial to a county our size. And I think all of that being partnerships helps us work together. We're stronger when we go after funding that way. We're stronger in what we can do for the community when we work together.
Okay. Chris?
Yeah, I'm with Tyler on that. I think our local partnerships are be the best to keep good relationships with to benefit all of Boone County.
All right.
Bobby?
Well, I had, of course, starting with local. We have to work with our local cities and towns and, of course, our public within the county. Surrounding counties would be next. We need to work with them. And, of course, other counties that are similar size in culture and heritage. And then what the state government does or enacts is important to us, so we must keep up with that so that things don't get out of hand somehow.
I don't know that I can say anything better than what they did.
Okay.
Just keeping everything local as much as possible.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
We're going to move on to our closing vision, or basically closing statements. We're going to start with Chris, I think is next. If elected, Chris, what would you like Boone County residents to say improved during their first term as county judge?
That that I was fiscally responsible with their taxpayers' dollars and made an improvement. So I always just try to make things better no matter where I'm at. That would be the main thing.
Okay.
Okay. I believe the main thing that I would want to hear is that interaction and transparency with the county judge's office has improved by quite a bit. Also, it would be nice to hear that some county roads have had some improvement as well, but the interaction and transparency would be the first thing.
Okay. James?
I'd like for residents to say that our roads are better conditions. The government has run smoother with quorum court and everything, and that they have been heard.
Kyle?
If I was to get this, and hopefully it would be longer than one term, so 4 years from now, I would want to be known for making Boone County a better place to live, work, conduct business. I want to be known for looking ahead. I think we lack at looking ahead. I want to plan for the county's future. I want to improve how we provide services and maintain the open communication. Ultimately, I want taxpayers to see tangible improvements to our roads, to our bridges, to our buildings, and know that their voices were heard and their dollars were spent wisely.
Okay.
Sorry, I read that as the first year. It says the first term, so that would give you time to get more done than what I was first thinking.
Okay. All right. You want to move on to the
Last question. Why should voters trust you with this executive role? And we're starting with Bobby.
Start with me. Well, my life experience in farming and business and 6 years as a JP would give me insight in all this relates directly to the public of the people that live in Boone County. My dad taught me at an early age that your word is your bond, and I've been in business for more than 45 years here in Boone County in the real estate business, and you can't last that long if you're not treating people the way you want to be treated. A new title will not change that. I think we need to apply common sense to our business of the county, to the county's business, and in the end, doing what's best for Boone County is the most important.
Okay.
James?
I've spent 2 decades doing real work of county government, working on roads, managing projects, stretching budgets, leading crews, and responding when emergencies hit. I'm not a career politician. I've been on the ground fixing problems and figuring out how to make things work with limited resources. I understand the work. I show up, I listen, and I will always put Boone County first.
All right.
Tyler?
I think that voters need to understand that this is a very important role for the county. They need to understand that it's not a part-time job. It's a full-time job, 24/7, and we need someone who's going to take that seriously. So I think Boone County should trust me with this because we need someone who's going to be at it for a while. I think that we need someone who's prepared and has that experience, and I think I bring, of course, integrity to the job, experience, fiscal responsibility, which comes with knowing and having that knowledge of how the county operates, and commitment to transparency. So what I would do is work every day to serve the taxpayers here in Boone County and continue to earn their trust, and that's not going to happen overnight, but that would be my promise.
Okay.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm common sense driven. I'd be right there working. Anybody that knows me is like, I'll be out there. If there's a job that needs to be done, I'll be there with them. I'll be out working with the road department, the maintenance department, as time allows. And, my only interest is doing what's best for Boone County and the residents of Boone County. I have no other objectives. It's just want to serve, and if the opportunity's there, I'll do the best job I can.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to, it's not on the list here, but I'm going to allow a short closing comments for each one of you. And if you would just want to tell the people viewing why they should vote for you, if it's one of your campaign slogans or whatever you want to do, we just want to open that up. And I'm going to open it up to James will be the first one because he's next on the list.
The reason I want to become county judge is I want to work for the public. I want to do the best I can do for Boone County. I want to try to stretch the dollars where they need to be stretched, try to, again, overlay some roads, take care of the county, the buildings, and the grounds. I would like for you to vote for me. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. Tyler?
So for those listening or watching, again, I'm Tyler Gentry and running for county judge. I think what I bring is something that not everyone can say. I've been in the midst of everything that's happened with our Boone County government for 6 years. I've been the assistant county judge, and I'll reiterate what I said at the beginning, which give me any title, and I would have gained the same experience and knowledge that I have. And I think that makes the difference. I think we need somebody that can step in the role, and they already know the day-to-day. They already know what challenges we face. They already know how it operates, and that person can focus on actually making some improvements and long-term planning. So if you want the best for Boone County now and long-term, as far as doing that long-term planning, then I respectfully ask for your vote.
Okay. And Chris?
Yeah, I may be the one with the least experience, but the good thing about the early voting or in March, the primary, is I'll have 9 months to get up to speed. And I've got the dream team over here that would still probably be working there to help me along the way. So I wouldn't be going into it blindly, but if you want to give me a shot, I'd appreciate it. And remember, don't miss, vote for Chris.
And Bob.
Well, again, I've lived here all my life. I love Boone County and the Ozarks. I've got no desire to go anywhere else. I am interested in seeing county government do the most it can and the best it can for its citizens. I believe county government operates as nonprofit. You know, it must have enough revenue to cover expenses, but the profit realized is the quality of services that our citizens receive. So with that said, I respectively ask you to vote Bobby Woods for Boone County Judge.
All right.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Again, I'm only going to speak for them twice, which is thanking you guys at the beginning and then letting everybody know early voting starts February 17th, primary elections March 3rd, and people need to understand that it's important, whoever you cast your vote for, get out and vote and know that it's decided in our local election in the primaries. This is who's going to represent you. So please get out there and vote. I'm going to give my contact information if anyone has questions. So again, Tyler Gentry. I have a Facebook page that's Tyler Gentry for Boone County Judge. Phone number is 870-517-0023 or email me at gentryforjudge@gmail.com.
Anybody else want to add?
Well, I believe we all have Facebook pages and are easy to contact with any questions or information
Okay.
they would like. And I appreciate y'all doing this.
Okay.
And I'd like to say if the runoff will be March 31st.
March 31st,
Okay.
if there's any bunching up of votes.
Right.
Okay, all right. Well, I
And
thank,
y'all so much
well,
for
thank
letting us
you.
come out.
We want to thank all the candidates and well-wishers out there. Like Tyler said, please get out and vote. Early voting starts on the 17th, and it will be running till the 3rd of March. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
With the
Vote early if you can, and take some neighbors with you, because this is a very important race, and it's also a very important position that we need to fill with the most qualified person, and only you can make that choice as a voting public. Thank you all so much, and for all of us here at KHOZ and K26 Hometown Television and Lemley, and I'm Dan Reynolds. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you. Thank y'all very much.
Around the Table on Harris's Original, KHOZ.